Well, we are so glad that everybody's here, and we are now going to turn the mic over to Charlie, who's going to do our meditation song, our meditation, and our message. So again, welcome, Charlie.
You were talking about seeing diversity and everything. And, I have a good friend who was a wonderful teacher. I remember sitting with her in a car. We were parked outside a grocery store, and just watching people walk by on the sidewalk. And she said, if you really stop and notice, every single person is cute.
Define cute.
Because it's in your mind, but it was a great little flip of just, and so I started noticing, like, if you really look, every single person is cute. It's that same kind of awareness of our diversity.
You're so cute.
Oh, thank you. So let's close our eyes. We'll just use this song to go into a time of meditation. And then at the end of the song, just fade into silence. We'll just sit in the silence a moment, and I'll guide you in a little guided meditation. So I invite you to close your eyes. Let's take a deep breath in. I hear your voice calling me ever so gently. I hear your breath carried along the wind. I hear your heart urging me on with its beating. I hear your name echoing deep within. I hear your name echoing deep within. I hear your voice calling me ever so gently. I hear your breath carried along the wind. I hear your heart urging me on with its beating. I hear your name echoing deep within. I hear your name echoing deep within. I hear your voice calling me ever so gently. I hear your breath carried along the wind. I hear your heart urging me on with its beating. I hear your name echoing deep within. I hear your name echoing deep within. Imagine you're hearing a voice inside you just simply repeating, I am. I am. The core of you is always speaking the name, I am. Always calling you to that place of stillness, inviting you to be still and know the I am. I am is who you are. You are that stillness, that peace. Let's take a breath into that right now. Breathe that in. A big breath. And you bring that peace and that stillness to every situation in your life. When you look out through your eyes into the world, you're looking from peace, from stillness. And really, it doesn't matter so much what you're looking at as where you're looking from. It doesn't matter so much what you're looking at as where you're looking from. When you look from peace, from stillness, and you bring that to every situation, be still and know the I am inside you. I hear your voice echoing deep within. I hear your name echoing deep within. I am peace. I am stillness. Let's say that together. Together, I am peace. I am stillness. And again, I am peace. I am stillness. And so it is, and so we are. Take a deep breath in. Your eyes open. Tell me stories of the many glories that you got yourself into, and what you're finding out on the horizon in the sky of blue. You can call me if you fall for the lies that people throw at you. 'Cause you're much greater than any hater when you could come right home to what is true. So why don't you? Will you find it there? In so many places, wherever you go, will you find it there? In so many faces, what do you know? Tell me stories of the many glories. Will you sing that with me? Tell me stories. Tell me stories. Throw in an echo if you want. Of the many glories, of the many glories. Life is streaming, all the while you're dreaming of some castles in the air. Does your insisting mean that you are missing all the love that's waiting there? You can call me if you fall for the lies that people throw at you. 'Cause you're much greater than any hater when you can come right home to what is true. So why don't you? Will you find it there? In so many places, wherever you go, will you find it there? With all of your searching, just what do you know? Will you find it there? In so many faces, wherever you'll be, will you find it there? With all of your seeking, just what do you see? Sing with me. Tell me stories of the many glories. Let me hear an echo. Tell me stories. Of the many glories, tell me stories of the many glories that you got yourself into. Thank you. So that's really my newest song, and it's the title of this new CD. It came out 4 weeks ago. So, is this a church song? Is that a church song? I wonder if it is. So I guess it worked, huh?
Yes. Well, we tell our troubles all the time, and let's tell our glories.
Yeah.
Let's tell our glories.
Yeah. All the many glories. And the title of my talk is "Finding the Gift," and that song talks about it. What are you finding? So it all fits somehow. Well, can we cut this poll down for the remainder of my talk?
Actually, we're taking it with us to the new sanctuary.
People cannot wait. Well, we'll work it out. I love opening with a talk with a joke, so I have a new joke for you. Are you ready?
Yes.
And I first heard Joel Bear told this. You may have been at the conference, and it was in I can't remember, near Santa Barbara for a regional conference of unity. But anyway, so this joke goes like this. This is in a medieval village, and there's the town square, and they built this scaffolding there, and there's going to be an execution at the guillotine. This is back in France in the Middle Ages or something, and so the whole crowd is gathered, and there are three men set to be executed. There's a doctor, a lawyer, and an engineer. And it's the doctor's turn to go first, and he steps up, and the executioner says, "Well, you have one choice. You do have one choice here. You can either do traditional, or you can turn around and face the blade." And the doctor says, "Well, okay, why not? I'll face the blade." So he puts his head in the block. The guy reaches up to pull the rope, pulls it. Here comes the blade, but it stops right before the doctor's neck. And the whole crowd murmurs, "It's a miracle! It's a miracle!" And the executioner says, "Well, the hand of God has obviously saved you. You are free to go." So he wanders off, and now it's the lawyer's turn to go next. And he says, "Well, I'll face the blade too. Why not?" And haul the rope back up and pulls the rope, and again it stops right before his neck. The crowd murmurs, "It's a miracle!" And again he's free to go. Well, finally it's the engineer's turn, and the engineer says, "Okay, I'll face the blade too. Why not?" He puts the head in the block. The guy's pulling the rope back up. He reaches up about to pull it, and the engineer says, "Oh, wait! I think I see the problem." I don't think he found the gift in that situation. Finding the gift. So my talk title, Finding the Gift, the subtitle is Must Be Present to Win. Finding the gift, must be present to win. And that's a lot of what we're here to remind ourselves of, is to be present in each moment, aren't we? How can we really be present in our lives? And many times you'll see situations in your life, and what's the gift in this? What's the gift in this? And I think we should almost have this mantra in our mind in those situations that says, there has to be a gift here somewhere. There has to be a gift. So we just keep reminding ourselves, stay present. What is the gift going to be? Many years ago, I was in Sicily working for a workshop on this little island off the coast of Sicily. And I get to travel to Italy a lot in my work. It's kind of amazing. I've been there 57 times. You can imagine. And now I've started leading tours. Who'd like to go on a tour to Italy with me? I have one in October. Meet me over here afterwards. So I can make it work for you. But anyway, so I'm on this island, and I just went through this workshop exercise. I was singing for this intensive workshop. And I remember afterwards, I had my hands up in the air, and I was just in tears, and I kept hearing this voice in my head. It kept saying, "It's all a gift." They kept repeating, "It's all a gift. It's all a gift." Every single bit of it. And the more I heard that voice, the more the truth really was finding its way into my heart. Just like every little thing is a gift, every single bit. And it's all here for our growth. Everything that's happening, and we're so many times we're asleep to, or just we're not present to what's being given to us. And I know a lot of us, it's hard to see the gift in many things, I understand. But there's a different way of looking at it, I think. And maybe you've had this thought before, this awareness that your higher self is bringing you every single thing in your life for your growth, for your lessons. It's time to learn the next thing, the next thing, the next thing. And some of the things it brings we love, and other things it looks horrible. But it's like, while on one hand our higher self is drawing this to us, it's asking us. We're asking it to bring things. On the other hand, we're a little kid with a ping pong paddle trying to bat it all away. It's like, no. But you wanted it. You're asking for it. You're asking for this growth, to stretch you, to stretch your soul to its next learning. Some people say, "I wish I had a world with no problems." I went to an S training in 1980. Remember the S training? I think I was late to the game in 1980. I remember the trainer from the stage. One of the things I remember the most, he stood up there, and kind of at the top of his voice, he yelled, I'm not going to yell, but he said, "You need your problems. You need your problems." We're thinking, what is he talking about? No one believes that. He said, if you didn't have problems, what would you do? Like, we need things to solve. We need the next accomplishment. We need the obstacle course of life to stretch ourselves, to grow. And I thought about that. Some people think, no, I don't want any problems. And I thought of this kind of metaphor that might illustrate how that might not work. So imagine you decide you're going to go to the movies. And you walk into the theater and you sit down, you're about ready to watch this movie for 2 hours. And what if, the movie starts, and what if for the next 2 hours in that movie, everything went right? Would that be interesting to you? That'd be the most boring movie I ever sat in. But if you want to see it, you can tune into the Hallmark Channel. It's pretty much the same. It's like, no, we need. Maybe you don't want to frame it as problems, but we need our challenges. What's the gift in this? What's the gift in this? There are many horrible things that seem to be happening in our world. There was one yesterday, the day before in Virginia Beach. There's a question that I think we all find ourselves saying, like, we've said it at some point in our life, how could God let this happen? How could God let this happen? And I don't think God's this white-haired guy up in the sky pulling strings and setting all that, making all that happen, but I think the real question is, what am I going to let happen? When I'm faced with these various things, what am I going to let happen in my heart? What am I going to bring to the situation? Am I going to bring more fear and just add to it? Am I going to bring love? Every moment is really that fork in the road, isn't it? With everything, every split second, you're always choosing. Am I choosing love? Am I choosing fear? Love, fear, love, fear. Which way am I going to go at this fork in the road? Every moment is this pivot point of choice. Every moment. When you see someone that you don't like, what is your heart going to do? When you see the news, when you see a politician you don't particularly like, am I choosing love? Am I choosing fear? Am I choosing resistance? Am I choosing openness? Finding the gift in each situation. How can I be present in who I am, as we talked about in the meditation, that place of peace and stillness, the I am presence that lives in us, that Christ self. Am I going to choose that in every moment? Can I find that gift? Can I bring that gift to every situation? I wrote a song a number of years ago that the words go, everything's an opportunity to forgive. Because that's really kind of, there's love or fear. Usually non-forgiveness, you'll find down the fear fork in the road. Everything's an opportunity to let go. It's a momentary choice, and I'm going through it constantly, remembering which voice will bring my joy to me. Everything, every moment, a split second, fork in the road, fork in the road, fork in the road. Some gifts take forever to show up, don't they? Have you ever had a gift show up decades later?
Oh, yes.
Decades. And I have a simple little example. It's not life-changing, but it was kind of fun to notice. And this goes back to me in the 5th grade. I was a little bit of a rascal, and there was a point at which a teacher didn't believe me, and I can understand why when I look back. But so here's what happened. It was the day before Valentine's Day, and we were making Valentine's cards. Construction paper, scissors, paste. We were cutting and pasting back when that actually meant cutting and pasting. And nobody finished their card, the day before. So she says, "Okay, take it home for an assignment to bring it back for your grade." So we're getting graded on Valentine's cards, which I think is funny. But anyway, I went home and I was still cutting and pasting and gluing, and I hadn't written any words in it. So I sat down at the kitchen table kind of sat there, and suddenly 4 lines of poetry came really quickly. I thought, oh, that's nice. I don't remember what it was, but and I finished up the card and brought it in. We all put it on the teacher's desk when we came in the next day. And about 5 minutes later, she comes over to my desk with my card in her hand, and she said, Charlie, I can't give you credit for this. You get an F. I'm going, what are you talking about? She said, well, I read your card, and obviously you copied it out of a Hallmark card, and you don't get it. You get an F. You fail for this project. I said, no, I didn't. I sat down and wrote it. She wouldn't believe me, and again, I can understand why, but it hurt. It's like she wouldn't. I wrote that, and it was never really resolved. It's kind of like, okay, here's another wound as a child, and onward we go. About 4 years ago, I recalled that event, and I saw the gift in it. And I realized, oh my God, my teacher was telling me that as a 10-year-old, I was already writing at a professional level.
Yes.
How about that? How about that? And look what I do for a living. This is one of my gifts. It's all the verse I write. So, okay, well that was nice. It's kind of like this poof, finding the gift in that situation. So maybe there are things in your life that may not show up the first week. Or, it's years later, like 10 years after your divorce that killed you. It's like, oh, now I get it. This really is better. Maybe show of hands? I had another fun thing happen. Well, I first got started in a Unity Church in Houston. There's a big church there, and someone heard this spiritual music I was writing, and they said, oh, I know some people who would love that. And that's really how I found Unity. I was writing this music and said, go sing with those people. They will like what you're writing. And so that's how I got woven into this family. And so a lot of us, there at the time doing music, putting on musical productions. And I remember one Sunday afternoon after church, I was back home and just washing my car in the driveway. And I remember I was scrubbing the hubcaps. Do we still have hubcaps? And this little ditty came to me, and I just love what it says. It's about staying present. So it just says, all the Christ inside me wants is for me to keep in touch. All the Christ inside me wants is for me to keep in touch. Sometimes we forget, don't we? We wander off and say, no, come back. It's okay that you forgot. Just come back in touch. And then we wander off again in our minds. And come back. Just stay in touch with that Christ self, that center, the essence, that core of peace and stillness. All the Christ inside me wants is for me to keep in touch. All the Christ inside me wants is for me to keep in touch. And maybe that's the whole journey. Maybe that's the entire spiritual journey. We just keep coming back to who we are, to that I am presence that lives in us. Keep staying present. Keep finding the gift in each moment. The gift is to come back. Where am I living from? Where am I living from? Can I approach each thing in my life from that awareness? I said that in meditation. It's not what I'm looking at, it's where I'm looking from. Stay in touch with that. Another gift showed up to me in a beautiful way. Several years ago, I'd organized this tour of Unity churches, and with about 6 days' notice, one of the churches canceled 2 of my events. And I have to plan months and months ahead to get on churches' calendars, so I went a little nuts for about a minute of like, you can't do that. It took me, I do all this planning way ahead, and you can't just cancel these 2 dates. It was like a Wednesday and a Thursday. But after about a minute, I said, well, I guess God wants me somewhere else. And I was willing to just let it go and just step into trust, like, okay, there's something else that's supposed to happen, so just let it go, and okay, now what is supposed to happen? And I started thinking, well, it's not easy to plan a church event on 6 days' notice. It's probably not going to fit in their calendar. So I thought, house concert. And who do I know in the area that can organize a house concert? And I thought of it was kind of this part of the country, and I was living in California at the time. And I thought of a friend in Virginia, called her up, can I do a concert there on on a Tuesday, and she says, yeah, come on, we'll organize it up. And I sent her a flyer, she got a crowd, great. And then I remember a friend up in New Jersey, nice backyard on the lake, had said for years, love to sponsor a concert someday. So I called her up, hey, how about Thursday a week from now? And she says, okay, we'll throw it together. So there's a lot more driving than I planned on, but I had a fun time that Tuesday. And I remember that evening after the concert, I got this little text from an old girlfriend I hadn't seen in a long time. And she said, I saw on Facebook you're doing a concert. It's about an hour and a half from me. I'm gonna drive. Might be able to come to your concert. I thought, well, that's nice. And I knew she was. I was aware that she had a relationship with a guy for 5 years, so I didn't think anything of it. But it'll be great to see you. And get a text the next night. Oh, it's gonna work out. I'll see you tomorrow night at your concert. Well, okay, that's nice. And then the concert comes. This house concert on the lake. And she shows up, and suddenly my heart goes boom, 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 boom. It's like this, full alert. And she was someone I dated in the '90s, and thought, oh my God, it's so great to see her. And during the concert, I couldn't stop looking at her. She was just smiling at me. And at the break, I found out she wasn't dating anybody anymore. It had been over for a year, and I wasn't. And we haven't let go of each other since. This is like lightning strike the second time. And we were married about a year and a half later. And this was, we had met at a Unity church. And in fact, as a wedding gift, one of her friends gave us these little leather wristband things. It's kind of cool with a little anchor. And it has the exact coordinates, like naval coordinates, of the church, the Unity church where we first met 30 years ago. So we've known each other over 30 years and finally put it together. So I guess God did want me somewhere else, right? And what if I had fought to make it work at that church? I wouldn't have found the gift in the situation. I would have been trying to push against where life was aiming me. So sometimes we need to learn to just go with it. To just go with it. Finding the gift must be present to win. I'll tell one more story, and this is about my mother. She passed a little over 5 years ago from Alzheimer's. And she had a 7.5-year journey of decline into Alzheimer's. And it was not fun. And there were so many challenges. And so, you have to ask yourself, what's the gift in this situation? How can I find a gift in this? And sometimes it's about finding how can I be a gift? Finding how can I, the question, how can I find the gift, it might be a little me-centered. So instead of how can I be the gift, how can I move it the other way? So what I discovered, now she was my first teacher of music when I was 8 years old in elementary school years. She would often play ukulele around the living room. Sometimes I'd come home from school, she'd be playing on the ukulele. And one day I was about 8, and I said, hey, can you show me how to do that? And she taught me my first song I ever learned. The one, it ain't gonna rain no more, no more, ain't gonna rain no more. So I learned the song and kind of went on from there to learn other things, and piano and guitar and other instruments. And so here we are, fast forward to, she's in the middle of Alzheimer's, and what I discovered, if I would pick up that ukulele and start playing all those songs, she was right there. She knew all the words, singing along on everything. It's like, we have Mom back. And I have the key. And no one else in my family could pull that off, but it was like, boom, right there, and it was so much fun. And just to give her the gift of music and to uplift her and to bring her present. So that was the gift of that situation, that I have this way of bringing her back. Instead of what's in it for me, what's in it from me. So there's always that fork in the road in every split second. And I always choose the one for love. The one that comes back to all the Christ inside me wants. Is for me to keep in touch. Thank you.
always been your gift, is to bring people back through the music. Right? You know that, right? Yeah, I mean, that's what you did in Finland when we were all like, oh my God, we're going to Russia. Right? But you've always done that in your workshops and your services. And that's what we do when we come together. It's to bring each other back. You know, encourage each other to return again, begin again, return to the center, return to the wisdom, return to the source energy, return to the present moment, be present. That's what you've always done. I'm so glad you did it for your mother. That's the sweetest story. Finding the gift. So as we approach a very sacred moment, which is to receive our love offering in support of this Unity Center, I'm reminded of a story. Amazing. And that is the property that we are in out on Salem Road was our third attempt. If you remember, actually we started looking at very small church buildings with very little parking, and then that vision got expanded over a few years to land with trees, with the idea of not just a sanctuary, but a center. And so we tried contract number 1, and you remember out at Market Common, it fell through. Thank God. But we thought, oh no, it fell through. And then we went to a second property out on 707. Remember that one with next to the nursery? And it seemed perfect. And it fell through.
God wants us somewhere else.
God wanted us somewhere else, and we went, ah. And each time it took us a while to recenter, refocus, begin again. Third time, Sally found this listing of this property. Gervais walked on it, first one to walk on it. He said, this is it. I drove into the property, stopped my car 5 feet into the driveway, and I knew immediately this is it. I love the idea of, hang on, stay present. God's got something else. Universal energy, source energy has something else in mind that's even better. Okay, so we began our service this morning with reading to you the diversity statement from Unity, and that's where this movement is right now, the welcoming of the Unity presence. So I'd like to end today to go into our time of receiving the offering. And guys, the ushers can come forth and get those golden offering receptacles. I'd like to read to you where our Unity movement began with our founders, Charles and Myrtle Fillmore. And this statement was found years after they actually wrote it. They're both passed. People are going through the archives, and this is what they found. Shall I read it to you? And by the way, wherever that basket is with the Prosperity Bank, so here it is. There are copies of this in the basket if you want one. So we had this in our class last week. So let's take a deep breath. This is the dedication and covenant of Charles and Myrtle Fillmore. They wrote this in 1892. We, Charles Fillmore and Myrtle Fillmore, husband and wife, hereby dedicate ourselves, our time, our money, all we have and all we expect to have, to the Spirit of Truth. Isn't that something? To dedicate your life and everything you have to the Spirit of Truth, and through it, to the Society of Silent Unity. It is being understood and agreed that the said Spirit of Truth shall render unto us an equivalent for this dedication in peace of mind, in health of body, in wisdom, in understanding, in love, in life, and an abundant supply of all things necessary to meet every want without any of these things being the object of our existence. In the presence of the conscious mind of Christ Jesus, 7th day of December, 1892. Now that may seem like a foreign idea, to dedicate your life and all that you have to the Spirit of Truth and to the unfolding of the evolution of our consciousness. That may be like a lofty idea, But guess what? This is what our founders did. And it's a very powerful moment when we realize we've been called to step up in the same way because we can't take none of it with us. Except what? The consciousness. The consciousness. So this is the consciousness that founded our movement. And so I invite you to give your tithes and donations in this consciousness towards the spirit of truth. So let's take a deep breath. And as a prayer, giving our time, talent, treasure, energy, thoughts, actions over to the spirit of truth. Together.